First things first, it's important to realize that belief plays a significant role in success, regardless of what you're seeking success in, whether it's playing a musical instrument, playing a professional sport, trading, right? Business, marketing, sales, doesn't matter what the skill set is. Belief plays a very big role in whether or not you actually make it work. And the way I like to think about it is there's two different ways to believe something. So you can have the route of doubt, which is a form of belief. It's just a negative form. It's a belief in not doing it. Or you can have the route of faith, which is kind of the belief that you will be able to do it. That right there is a decision. Now, the problem is that typically when you're learning a new skill set, that's not the only time you come across that decision. That decision comes up over and over again, especially with every new challenge that comes into place. You're at that crossroads again. Do I believe that I can do this, or do I believe that I cannot do this? And the folks that actually succeed and make it work, they're the ones that every single challenge keep choosing faith that they can do it.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. Welcome to the Prosperity U podcast. We are here today to talk about self-belief, and super fired up to have you here with my co-host and best buddy of all time, Mr. Zach Shanky. He weighs in at, what are you at nowadays? No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. 180. He is almost as tall as my mom, if not right on the button.
Dang, we're throwing punches out the gate. All right.
I'm just kidding. Okay. To stay focused, listen, our mission is to impact the world by bringing life-giving principles of prosperity to it. And our vision is to guide our community to back engineer their full power and potential with purpose-driven growth so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most. Our values are to impact with integrity and intentionality. And in order to impact the world, we value time, health, relationships, and legacy relentlessly at the highest level. We value people over profits, and we are driven and dedicated to the success of our community. We provide result-oriented support through mentorship to ignite an inspired and focused community. And man, did I ever have a amazing call right before this one, really guiding a person through that process. That is my passion. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I'm actually, the reason why I've been punching Zach here a little bit on this call already is because he took me off the shelf for like 3 months. But that might have had to do a little bit with my self-belief, because actually I did have a challenging moment in September where, for those of you that aren't aware, I actually, at a young age, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of high-functioning autism, and then bipolar disorder, which is manic depressive, and that is been like a lot of people will look at a diagnosis as something that being defined by, and I truly believe that we're not defined by diagnosis. For example, if somebody has cancer, you don't say they are cancer. They have it, and things need to be managed. Somebody who is not a diabetic, they have diabetes, and it's just something that needs to be managed. Another thing, people will say, I'm fat. No, you're not fat. You have fat. We all have fat. It's something that can be managed. And that's something that really, like, in my journey, that really helped and saved my life. And I've learned how to manage these things. But in September, I did have a bit of a spill, and wow, do I ever have the most amazing support system and family in the Prosperity Movement to have supported me through that challenging time. But it was one of the reasons why my best friend in the world, had to protect myself and everybody by taking me off of the shelf. But I'm now back on the shelf, and I just had this most amazing conversation with Joyce here today, and we actually even talked about faith and just she has just a plethora of incredible, inspiring things that I wrote down that at some point I might pull out on this call. But all of this, I think, ties into belief and self belief. I kind of just ranted here for a little bit, but why don't you take it away, Zach, and share
Yeah.
what's on your heart?
Well, I think it's first things first, it's important to realize that belief plays a significant role in success, regardless of what you're seeking success in, whether it's playing a musical instrument, playing a professional sport, trading, right? Business, marketing, sales, doesn't matter what the skill set is. Belief plays a very big role in whether or not you actually make it work. And the way I like to think about it is there's two different ways to believe something. So you can have the route of doubt, which is a form of belief. It's just a negative form. It's a belief in not doing it. Or you can have the route of faith, which is kind of the belief that you will be able to do it, right? And so you kind of, that right there is a decision. Now, the problem is that typically when you're learning a new skill set, that's not the only time you come across that decision. That decision comes up over and over again, especially with every new challenge that comes into place. You're at that crossroads again. Do I believe that I can do this, or do I believe that I cannot do this? And the folks that actually succeed and make it work, and we got James hopping in here in just a second, they're the ones that every single challenge keep choosing faith that they can do it. Hey, James.
It reminds me of the Henry Ford quote. You know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Boom.
And that's ultimately what I'm talking about. And I heard from a guy named Myron Golden. Oh, Brian, you would love. Do you know Myron Golden?
No, actually, this is the first I'm hearing that name.
He has a podcast. I think it's called Business Success in the Bible or something along those lines. He's brilliant. I had an opportunity to eat some ice cream with him one day because
Really?
I went to an event. This was several years ago. I went to this event, and it was a Steven Larson event, and he was one of the speakers. And I went to get ice cream, and I was all by my lonesome because the guy that came with me left a day earlier than I did. And I went to get some ice cream, and there was Myron Golden getting some ice cream. So I had a chance to sit down. It wasn't just me; other people noticed him, and so there's a little mini group of us chilling and chatting with him. But what he talks about is like whether you believe that you can or you believe that you cannot, what that does internally. Let's go with the route that you cannot. It actually creates kind of a feeling of anxiety, which is more of a paralysis. It's like it's a feeling of I can't move forward. I'm stuck. And then therefore you don't do anything, and the results don't happen. Versus the route of faith. Faith is more of like anticipation. You're looking forward to getting the result, which causes you to take actions that will actually equate to the result. And it all stems from that decision. Do I believe I can, or do I believe I won't be able to?
And yeah. With that being said, like, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm usually really, really good lately at like letting a person finish, but I'm just so it gets me hungry and like actually really excited about this what you're talking about is like the difference between fear and excitement, and it's really just a degree of a shift, right? Like it's kind of the idea of I'm trying to think of another example, but it's a genuine shift between like there's that degree of separation that there's not a whole lot, like kind of like addiction and ambition. That was the one I was looking for. Addiction and ambition, that slight degree shift is not a whole lot. And if you just shift it, boom, it changes from fear to excitement.
100%. Actually, a good example of this is prosperity movement itself, right? Because before we decided to be our own thing, our own company, we were at the time we were working within an MLM company, and using our marketing and sales skills to bring on more people into the MLM company. At the end of the day, they weren't getting the result that we wanted for the people we were bringing on. And so it was a decision that didn't happen like that, because I remember Brian had the idea first, like, hey, dude, maybe we should separate. Maybe we should make our own thing. And I was like, no way. Like, my immediate response was, there's no way, dude. There's so many laws and crap that we'd have to be familiar with to like make that work, make sure we're not breaking anything. He was like, all right, well, just putting the bug out there. And sure enough, like, I don't know, maybe 2 months later, we decided to do it.
Well, and actually, Joyce, before we finished off our call, she had some questions for me on what we were doing before, and I shared my story. You know, like I was in the music industry at first. I did that for over a decade. Used to live in a van down by the river, singing for my supper, to working with good producers, top 20 artists, Canadian Idol judge, all of a sudden award-winning establishment, $1 million tour bus life. I did that for like 3 years, touring all over North America, bought my dream house, married my dream girl. A month into my first son being born, had to move across the country, moved in with my mother-in-law. That was humbling beyond humbling, because no man wants that. No man wants that. But I was just explaining to her, like, I didn't imagine doing what we're doing today, but God brought me through all of these interesting, you know, it was an interesting valley that he pulled me through, and to get to that. I don't want to say we're at the top of the mountain fully, or like we've arrived or anything like that, but we're constantly learning and evolving and progressing and living these prosperity principles. But you know, I from there learned about finances, and then realized that I didn't get into the positions I did in the music industry because I was good at playing guitar and singing. It was because I was good at marketing and sales. Ended up going to work at a marketing firm, and that's when I met Zach. I wanted coaching. And Zach, you were working with Joel Bauer at the time, and that guy is considered they call him the most famous guy that nobody's ever heard of, because he's what they call the mentor of mentors. He mentored Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson. The list goes on. As the top,
Myron Golden is on that list too.
Myron Golden is on that list too. And I just looked him up, and I'm noticing he's like he's ClickFunnels eight-figure earner or whatever. He's a beast. Yeah, look at this. Yeah. Like, it's incredible. So yeah, so Myron Golden was mentored by this guy. You actually worked with him and built a company just scraping 7 figures in 14 months. You weren't very happy with that. I didn't know that. I thought you were making, like, I was looking at you, a $10,000 a month coach. I had not two real nickels to rub together. The bank didn't want to touch me with 10-foot pole, but I had to get really creative to work with you. Settled on a 4-month deal. And then you saw something really special in me, and you were like, dude, you do the things I don't do. I do the things you don't do. We should go into business. And I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't want to have to, like, continue paying this. And you were like, look, listen, I tell you what, I'm not going to pay you your money back, but you collect the money until you've earned what you've paid me. And then we'll incorporate the company. We'll high level within a month and a half. That was taken care of. 5-time New York Times bestselling author who had been featured on Oprah 5 times hits our desk. A Stanley Cup champion, Olympic gold medalist who was handpicked by Wayne Gretzky for Team Canada hit our desk. And we had helped companies all over the world 3x, 5x, and 10x their revenue. Did amazing things with that. You decided to sell your shares in your old company with Joel Bauer to come do this with me, and I'm sitting here like, you're crazy because you're making way more money over there. Like, what was the thing, like, if we're tying this into the belief message today, what was the thing that made you make those decisions?
Well, so I think it's important to note, so I grew up in like not a middle class income family, much lower. I wouldn't say like the bottom of poverty, but probably closer to the top of poverty, bottom of middle class, somewhere in that range. Parents always arguing over money, having to get loans like all the time just to fix a car, those kinds of things. And so the relationship that I had with money was more or less money is number one. So we talk about the 4 pillars of prosperity. Mine were jacked up. Okay, where money was kind of controlling everything for me. So all my decisions up until I met Brian had to do with, well, how can I make more money? That was literally my only, it was a pretty one track mindset. I was not the best person either, just generally speaking. I had some work to do, personal work to do, but what caught my eye about Brian was that he very much treated money differently. Um, for him, he knew money was a byproduct of the way you live your life, right? It's a byproduct of how do you prioritize your time, your health, and your relationships. Money will be there. It will be taken care of one way or the other. Um, and so for me, that was like eye opening because at the time, my time, health, and relationships were in the toilet. they were they were awful, and so that's when I realized I don't care about the money anymore. I'm like, I will downsize. I will cut my losses, so to speak. I will, like whatever I need to do, but I need to reset. I need to get my health back. I need to get my time back. I need to get my relationships back. And so that's what Brian kind of brought to light for me and encourage. Well, he told me not to do what I did, but I prayed about it and I'm like, no, I need to stop everything that I'm doing and I need to reset hard right now.
It's a shift that we're talking about where people's values are in money, or money supports your values.
Right.
Are your values in money, or does money support your values? And when you can move and shift to my values are in money to my money supports my values, now making money is not hard because you somehow are becoming more impactful with your time and in the ways that you're making money. And I don't know about you, but money becomes easier and easier and easier to make and accumulate now that I'm very clear on my values and
Yeah.
how I'm living my life. And like that 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 is a shift. And that it's interesting that you say, like, because I don't know, when I look at Zach and anybody who knows Zach and spends enough time with Zach, he is one of the kindest, helpful, just generous people that you've come across. I have had my own growth in the years, and I would say I was a very bombastic individual, and I'm very energetic, but like I now am becoming, like, Zach inspires me, and I would say even Travis inspires me, and this community inspires me to kind of hone in on those fruits of the spirit, like it's outlined in Galatians 5:22 to 26. If y'all want to flip to that page and check that out. But like, I'm very inspired, and these people inspire me to constantly be honing in on that. That's again a values thing. And when you're now not only encompassing that as an individual, but it now becomes a part of your expectations, and now also becomes a part of your boundary system and your belief system. We're now tying this into your beliefs. Now you're attracting people that subscribe to that and have the same. So now efficiency and effectiveness and impact becomes natural, right? That's the fun thing. James,
James,
yeah, we're talking about personal belief right now, James, and like it's just kind of evolving. But like, what do you have in your heart, like? And for those that are tuning in, like James, we met James. If I continue really quick as I tee you up here, James, for your own heart thoughts, is in our journey. After Zach and I met, we met another trader from Edmonton, Alberta. That guy was like doing incredible things. Like, we blew our mind to see $40,000 trade days. Like, is that even possible? And that's when, like, Zach was like, "Oh, we should maybe." Well, not just Zach. I was sitting there like, "Yeah, we should." We were all like, we should probably learn how to do this and figure out how to do this. Zach gets mentored by him, takes 590K in 90 days. I learned a few things from Zach, and my record was, first of all, he sent me 2K from those earnings, and then I took 2K to 43K in about a week. And then what we were noticing in our community is that individual that was, you can't take anything from the fact that he's so incredibly, incredibly talented. It didn't seem to match our mission, vision, values, because people were walking on eggshells when they wanted to get support from that individual. We really wanted to have this people over profits servant leader focus within our community. We wanted to duplicate that. We wanted to duplicate leaders, that traders helping traders mentality. And that's when we had met James. And James's story is in his first year trading, did over $1 million at making, I think it was over 5,000 pounds or something like that on his first trade accidentally, going the right way for him, deciding he was dedicated to learn how to do that over and over again, does over $1 million in his first year, buys out his boss's company. Like, doesn't just fire his boss and quit, but buys out his boss's company and then builds a 3.5 million pound facility, and they really starts helping the community. And then realized that, hey, I'm better off just continuing to trade. People were knocking on his door to learn, and he found a passion in teaching other people. He talks about how he gets goosebumps and hair raising on his arm. I think it's one specific arm for some reason, and his cheeks in specific areas where he gets this
only my left arm and my cheeks,
left arm and cheeks euphoric moment of when he sees that he's getting purpose and fulfillment out of helping other people, back engineer their goals and dreams. That was really in alignment with who we are and what we're all about. And so for you, James, if you're to talk about personal belief system, like, what does your heart say for those that are listening today about personal belief?
I don't think anyone else agrees or understands my beliefs. I'm not like most normal humans, if you like. I don't know if I say this the right way, but I believe in me. That's the reality. And then because people trust me to teach them, that's my reputation. And I still believe in me. So I kind of feel like I have to prove it over and over again in every single session that we take. And touching lots of wood, I've got lots of it available, thankfully. I feel we do. There are days when there's nothing happening on the chart, but then we do nothing and nothing gets taken away from us. And then there are days when it's right there and it's happening and it's ours and we take it. And there are times when we call the longer term stuff. My reputation's on the block, but it hit the target. So I'm happy, and that's it. I'm sad to say, I suppose I should say that I don't really believe in deities and stuff, and I'm sorry for that. But I do believe in humanity. I really, really do. I trust humans. I believe in humans. And I think humans should trust themselves, because at the end of the day, you're all you've got. I'm all I've got. That's it. There's no one going to catch me if I fall. It has to be me. And I think having that belief has protected me. I grew up in probably a worse situation than Zach. My parents, whatever they had, they sure didn't spend on us kids. They didn't want us. We weren't catered for or not. And I ended up in foster care. So that should show you how bad it was. Even way back down in the 60s and 70s, I got snaffled into foster care when there were loads and loads of cracks I could have fell through, So if I've achieved something today, I believe it's off my own merit, because my parents certainly didn't give me a leg up. My foster mum gave me the best advice ever. She said to me, chase the money, lad. And when the NAS hit 17,711 there the other day, well, I sure caught it then. So I'll keep catching it. That's it.
So I see, like, where the perspective of, hey, everything depends on me. I find that empowering, right? Because it's like there's nothing that can stop me except me.
Right.
I'm not going to stop me. I'm going to push me forward. But a lot of people have the opposite perspective, where when they hear something like that, they think that's a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can handle that. I want to do it with a team. I don't want to just depend on me. I don't know if I'm reliable. Like, how do you help someone break through that?
Well, I tell them the story. I learned to sail once long ago, and I crossed an ocean on it. And we were out learning one day it was called Ocean Sailing Academy in Durban, South Africa. And there's a Canadian skipper on the boat. He's the guy who's teaching us. And he was going around the boat asking names. What are you learning this for? You're just on holiday, okay? And he came to me and I said, well, I bought a concrete boat over there. And I'm just going to sail it. I don't really know. I haven't really got a plan. And he said, that's you. And you're going to do that. Oh, I couldn't possibly do that. I need someone to blame when things go wrong. And you're just going to go on your own. And I said, usually when something goes wrong, it's my fault. So I'll be at home on the boat and something goes wrong, it'll be my fault. I'll deal with it. That's it. It's not that I thrive on the pressure. It's that I don't feel it. It's that I know I've only got me to rely on. I accept that that's it. There's no one to catch me. My real parents are gone. My foster parents are on the way out. If I suddenly lose everything in the morning, there is nobody going to come and say, "Oh, let me help you, James." It's not happening. It's up to me. And there's always those other words. I learned them a long time ago in South Africa as well. And it's a motto. It is, if it's to be, it's up to me. That's it. I live by that. That's it. If there's anything going to happen in my life, it's up to me to make it happen. No one's going to give it to me. It's not coming out of the sky. It's up to me. There's no lotto win. There's nothing. It's just me.
Well, if that's not extreme ownership, I don't know what it is.
I think, yeah, like the extreme ownership piece is a big part of the belief thing too. Like you've got to now, like you had mentioned, James, you said that like, you don't believe in a deity and all that kind of stuff. And we, like, no matter what, we love you no matter what, obviously. Like, nobody's sitting here judging anybody. Nobody's sitting here judging anybody or pointing fingers or saying one is right or wrong. I think one of the things that I've learned recently in just my walk on the world as a human being is like one of the best things that we can do. And on my last call, we were talking about is seek to understand. Right. Like, and yeah, I attach that to, Matthew 7:7-8, seek and you shall find, ask you shall receive, knock and the door will be open to you. Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and all of these things will be given unto you. And this idea that we aren't all alone because we were created by something far larger than us. And to go ahead and label it, whether you call that a deity is that I have a heavenly father. I have somebody who is an image bearer who created me in his image. That is what I see and what I believe. On the other side of that, instead of sitting here in any conversations with people and saying, "You're right," or sorry, "You're wrong," and "I'm right," it's just not proactive and productive. Whereas if you seek to understand, you can start to understand that there's different perspectives in every conversation. The way I look at it, there is my perspective, there's your perspective, and then there is the full-on truth, right? And you don't always necessarily in life are you experiencing the full-on truth in everything that you're saying and doing, right? Or experiencing with another person. So a lot of times they might be like, and this is where we talk about assuming the best, and this is ties into belief system again there, Zach. You can assume the best in a person, you can assume the worst in a person, right?
Yeah.
In decisions or anything like that. What are you sitting there thinking of?
It's like worry as well, right? So like typically 99% of the stuff we worry about is things that have not happened that are potential things in the future, right? So if you're worried about some big expense next month or something, it's somebody's birthday or it's an anniversary, you don't know what you're going to do or what your plans are or something like that. It hasn't happened. Like literally what you're worrying about has not happened. So you get to choose today. Do you want to believe that something bad is going to happen next month? Or do you want to instead, since you're making it up anyways, you might as well make it something positive, right? All of a sudden it'll relieve you so much of the moment of the now. So belief has everything, and I actually mirror James when he says he believes in human beings, because I definitely also believe in human beings. I find that's probably something that I've learned over the years, a big difference between the old me and the new me, so to speak, which that transformation was back in 2017, I believe, where I really made some shifts, some personal value shifts. And one of those things was I learned that the people that I would normally kind of look down on because maybe they weren't as talented as I was in a certain field, or I felt I was smarter than them, or whatever the case was, whatever the reason I was judging them, I started figuring out that I was learning from them so many things if I was just open to listening. And so I definitely value kind of what other people what other people bring to the table. Their experiences bring a whole separate set of perspectives and wisdom that I might be able to learn from, and all I have to do is listen, right?
Well, and again, like if somebody's being put in your life, I believe that James got put in our life for a very spectacular reason.
Absolutely.
I believe that James came into our lives for a purpose, and that it was a greater purpose than I could ever think of. Like that wasn't my doing. My doing was showing up and making the decision. I'm blessed with the decision every day to act upon the promptings or the things that I saw in terms of opportunity and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think I did a good job, because now here we are together. And I also
Right.
believe that we're all together for a divine purpose and a divine reason, for something greater than us. And, you know, we talk about legacy. We talk about a lot of different things. And yeah, ultimately, I believe that we are leaving a lasting impression by doing so, that will exceed our lifetime by making these decisions. You know,
And
like
I
Stephen
also-
Covey talks.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Stephen Covey, you know, talks about beginning with the end in mind, and in his book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, you know, drawing out your intentionality from your deathbed. Like, what do you want people to think and feel and sense, you know, after you're gone, and what is the lasting impression after you're gone that you want to see occur? Like, can you think up? I even go further. Like, 50 years after I'm gone, is there some sort of impact that I could have left behind that is going to be something tangible? Or 100 years, like, what could we do? Like, and then you start seeing what we call legacy companies, where companies live on after the person is gone. And, you know, principles and ideas that those people gathered, they move on through that. And that's what I see. And that's what I want to, that's what I want to be a part of.
Something I read some time ago, it said, if you don't come from a good family, make a good family. If you don't have good neighbors, be a good neighbor. And I've tried to live by that as well. Got a nice and funny story for you from it, actually. You know, the way, I don't know if you've heard of Jehovah's Witnesses. Don't know if you have them there.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so a guy and his son knocked on my door not so very long ago. It's Ireland, so it was raining. It was teeming rain, and he knocked on the door and he said he had this book and with Jehovah's Witnesses, and I said, "Oh mate, I won't waste your time. I've no interest in religion whatsoever. I'm really sorry, but look, peeing down. Do you want to come in for a cup of tea or something?" And he looked at me and he said, "No, thank you. We've got lots more doors to knock on." I said, "Are you sure? Like, it's freezing and raining." And I looked at his son and he said, no, we better go. And he took like 3 steps away. And then he turned around, he looked at me, he said, "But that's the nicest offer I've had. And considering this is a Catholic community and you've no interest in religion, I'm surprised, but thank you very much." And then he carried on his way. Like, you know, but, I mean, I would have, honest to God, it was a genuine offer. I would have made him a cup of tea and give him a plate of biscuits or something. Like, you know, it was rotten weather. And there he is banging on doors. Like, I just felt sorry for him. But that's being a good neighbor, isn't it? And and that's all I want to be.
It is, and it's interesting you say that. Like, I'm not interested in religion either. Legalism is something that I'm looking to rid myself of. Legalism and religion, and it's that you know, that spirit, that good spirit that you're talking about. Some people will actually, you know, study these ideas of the Holy Spirit and the fruits of the Spirit. It's like, again, that idea that I can go to college or university and I can read a book. And you can have all this knowledge of it, but if you're not like applying it, like if somebody goes to school to become an engineer and like, you know, they're not, they end up working at a grocery store after they get their diploma. Like some of us know some of the stories that I share with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, when does something come off of a page and start manifesting itself in and through you, where like, what you're talking about there, James, is kingdom principles. Like, you are exuding kingdom principles. And I mean, again, whether or not you want to seek or read these ideals and all that kind of stuff, the important part is that you are being the change.
Yeah.
And like,
Because you got to be able to look yourself in the mirror in the morning, haven't you?
Yeah. And I want to be like as close as I possibly can. And I think it's impossible to like that Jesus Jesus is the prime example. Some would say Gandhi, and some would say a whole bunch of these others. But there's reasons for me that I study and see that make me feel very drawn and hungry to be that. And what you're talking about exudes that, and it's like this word love, being love, like you were being loving in that moment. You exuded that fruit of the spirit of love and kindness and generosity. Like those are all fruits of the spirit. The
Yeah.
other side of it is all the things we don't want to have anything to do with, which is greed, gluttony, anger, resentment. Like all of that stuff is the other side of the equation that we're looking to stray away from as best as we can, right?
Yeah. So when we
For sure.
if we bring it back to like so when it comes to do you believe you can do something or do you believe you cannot do something? If you're in the side of doubt and you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I would say the number one piece of advice, and I'll continue an example here in a minute, but the number one piece of advice that I would give from my own experience is seek clarity. So if we look back to the example where Brian suggested we branch off from this other company, make our own company, and I was like, heck no, there's too much to do with the laws and stuff, which is an intimidating factor of running a teaching, trading education company. Okay. What I did is I sought clarity. How many laws are there? Are they that complicated? Is this a simple Google search or is this a more complicated Google search? And I started Googling and I started getting on the FTC site, the SEC site. I started looking into all the different laws that we might have to be familiar with so that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's. And turns out there's not a ton. I mean, there's a fair amount, but it wasn't too bad. And it was in English where I could understand it. And so all of a sudden, this route of doubt that was originally in my head, I gained clarity and it quickly switched to the side of faith. Oh my gosh, I think we could do this.
Yeah.
Right. And that's,
You were thinking you were going to have to be dealing with a Bible-sized worth of information,
right,
that like I would need to know all of that in order to do this. And it just so happened, oh, well, these are the avenues of the things that we're looking to teach. And again, like a lot of the conversations that we have is like the uphill conversation of binary. And even James says, I don't like binary, and everybody's going to have their focuses and their ideals surrounding that. But based on our experience and what we learned from our first guy, and then all of the laws surrounding that, and what we saw with that's where we got binary trading exposed, and it's a great option for those, especially that are working 9 to 5 jobs and can't jump on a lot of the calls that we have throughout the week. There are ways around those kinds of things, and obviously lots of different options that. But
yeah,
go ahead.
Well, I mean, a great example is Guy. Guy's on listening in on the podcast here. Guy said, you know what? I want to learn this as much as possible. James trades on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So if I could figure out a way to not have to work Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, I will. He went ahead. He actually took if I am not mistaken, Guy, and please correct me in the comments if I am, but he went ahead and took a bit of a pay cut to make that schedule possible, but he did make it possible. So now he has off, or at least off the right time of the day to be able to trade Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with James. Like that is seeking a solution to a challenge, right?
Thanks, Guy.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Guy's doing great. He's doing great. So, it's interesting when you do finally get the clarity that you're looking for to kind of pull you out from the doubt mindset. You can actually start to see avenues to make it work and opportunities to make it work, which is why this whole idea of belief one way or the other, it's pretty crucial no matter what it is you're pursuing to master, right? So anyway, that's kind of like what I really
You're sounding like there's a dedication thing there too included in belief. Like it's it all genuinely comes down to a decision. Like, and that's where earlier I said that the shift between fear and excitement, doubt, fear to excitement, that assuming the faith. I like to talk a lot about the difference between addiction and ambition, because like we're all addicted to something in some way, shape, or form. But like even dealing with quote unquote addicts, I don't believe you're an addict. I believe that you have an addiction. I believe that how you label yourself and what you believe of, like even what James was saying, I believe in me. Okay, what do you believe about you? What are you telling yourself? Like what is the narrative in which how you see yourself? Because if I now choose to believe that I'm fat, I'm just going to keep on creating that in my life, instead of saying, you know what, I have this, and it is something that I can manage and work with. And I mean, I was able to lose over 100 pounds in 6 months just based on honing in on a book, Body for Life by Bill Phillips, and doing the steps. And it was super simple, not necessarily easy, but simple. Right? Same thing over here. Simple steps, not necessarily easy, but simple. When dealing with an addiction, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol. I was actually admitted in the hospital 3 times for drug and alcohol induced psychosis between the age of 17 and 21. It was a decision. I didn't want that as a result anymore, and it was a simple shift of decision. And instead of, so now how are you filling that gap? So instead of doing drugs, what am I doing with my time? So I started going to the gym first thing in the morning and then first thing after work. I went twice because I knew that there were certain things that I did after work. I would go after work. I would end up going to the bar or to the alcohol store. What do you call it?
The liquor store?
Liquor store. Yes. I would go to the bar or the liquor store. And that was the pattern. So instead of doing that first thing after work, I went directly to the gym. And I wanted to feel good. And it talked about in this book certain things that I would expect, and certain feelings, like even with eating food. Okay, well, you had a cheat day once a week. At first, he said, just eat whatever you want on that day, however much you want, because you'll start to feel the difference. And then when you start to feel the difference, you'll start to realize that you don't want to do that anymore. So then it moved from a cheat day to a treat meal, right? Like I'm going to have what I want there, and then like kind of, keep myself within the boundaries over here. And then it just shifted everything. So what are you doing in conjunction with what you believe and what you want, and how are you filling the gaps? If there's something happening in your life that you don't want to be happening anymore, what are you doing to fill that gap? How are you shifting it? What's the shift? How are you replacing it? What's the thoughts you're having? How are you replacing those thoughts?
Very good. Self-reflective questions.
I may let
Sorry, I
you
went on a
get ready for
tangent
the
again.
session there, lads, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just so everyone knows, we're going live in 15.
All right.
Live in 15 minutes.
Cheers.
If this is
Thank
your
you.
first time with the prosperity movement, and you want to learn how to become a part of the community, and you want to learn how to get the results that you want to get, obviously in trading, you're here to learn about trading. But if you're just, you want to just make your life better in general and all that kind of stuff, we're here to uplift, empower, and equip you in the areas. We want to get to know you. We want to learn about what you're looking to achieve, and how to back engineer what you genuinely want. We want to help you label what you want and then help you get there as quickly as possible. So a good way to get into your next steps in your trading journey is to go to prosperitymovement.online. And Zach just put that in the comments here on Zoom, and I think we'll put it as well on Facebook. But you can go ahead and click on that link, and then at the bottom right-hand side on that link, you'll see a chat bubble. It'll pop up. From there, you just put your information in it. What do we want them to put as a subject or to type into that chat bubble this week to get a complimentary blueprint access?
Belief.
I love that. So if you want next steps and for a great resource called the Blueprint, so that you can figure out whether or not prosperity movement truly is the best fit for you, and to also help you back engineer your success. We've seen some great increase in success that people have gone through that process. They've prepared themselves, much like what I was talking about earlier with my my journey, weight loss, and reading a book called Body for Life by Bill Phillips. At the end of that book, there was a workout plan that was super simple. And if all I would have did was that, I probably wouldn't have been successful because I wouldn't have prepared my heart and mind for my success. That's what the blueprint over here does, is it prepares your heart and mind for success. It prepares you to understand the things and the obstacles that you're also going to face, and how to prepare yourself to overcome those challenges. So just go to prosperitymovement.online and the little chat bubble at the bottom right hand side, type in belief, and we'll get you all set up with that. That's it for today. You want to add anything else there, Zach?
Nope, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you hopping on. We'll see you guys next time.
Love you.
Adios.
Bye.